Why, hello, my shopties. Let me grab my controller. Oh. All right, hello, everybody. We are back, and we are playing Solar Ash again. We're gonna finally actually finish this game, hopefully. That's the hope. We're about to go check on Auric and finish the Auric quest, but then after that, we are going to actually face off with the final section of the game. Now, the game is probably going to be finished very quickly. I don't anticipate this taking a while. But if it does, cool, but I'm pretty sure we're going to finish this in like 2 hours or so. I don't anticipate this taking too long, since we already finished the boss. I gotta think of... I think I have to go over here. Alright. We come up this way. Ah. And now we can come in here. A scientific journal published by an advanced terrestrial race. One editorial theorizes about the next evolution of faster-than-light technology that may lead to interdimensional travel. Another article details a recently discovered technology that combines matter and antimatter into a supercharged energy source. Research on this technology has been banned from the solar system due to its highly unstable nature. Interesting. There's a gem here. I don't really need that anymore. A long-dead traveler's theories on the origins of the Dross. Theory 1. The Dross are an ancient parasitic life form that can survive indefinitely in the vacuum of space, drifting from planet to planet, destroying all biotics in their wake. Theory 2. The Dross belong to a hive mind following the bidding of a treacherous matriarch that hails from a blighted planet. Theory 3. The Dross travel to populated sectors of the universe through wormholes in order to feed on biotic life forms every few millennia. Theory 4. The Dross are war machines that turned on their creators and annihilated them, and now seek biotics to use as living batteries to power their offspring. Interesting. The Dross, if you don't remember, were the monsters that we've been seeing around in the city area and in the Ironroot Basin. So in the Broken Capital and the Ironroot Basin, we saw these like big hulking monsters, and then additionally we saw a couple other entities around that were the Dross, so... you know, all of that. A list of deadliest puppets. Kermit the Frog here. Anyway. It's Elmo. Elmo's in there. The book tells a story of a goblin sovereign who kidnapped children and held them captive in a large maze. A booklet of extremely rare Tristero postal stamps. Most of these were destroyed by the Thurn and Taxis post. A poem by Auric. God damn, no, I don't want to hear another poem by Auric.
To my children who grow up tall and create cool shade for the very small, from gills that launch ballista spores and coat the nourished garden floors, from which the hyphae flex so proud and build a wall of umbral shroud. Beneath my toes the carrion crawl. Amidst my garden, I love them all.
Also, Ray's suit is sparkling so aesthetically in front of the flame. Like, I kind of love it. Alright, what else? A catalog of various gadgets that consumers can purchase while traveling through the cosmos. Anything else on this pile? I don't think so. Did I read this one? Detailed schematics for a matter collapsing device. The ancient journals of a cosmic racer who took a shortcut and was trapped in the Ultra Void. Her writings indicate she befriended a warm and caring Umbra steward named Garlac? She describes a fulfilling emotional bond with Garlac that she has never found in her own species. He helped her repair her ship and return home. A footnote is at the bottom of the page. I shall never seek another companion. None can compare to my racer from the stars. Aww, that's so cute. I love that. A collection of unsent letters written but post-mortem by Delecto. A collection of puzzles about predators, prey, fodder, and river crossings. Hey, yo. OMG, that's Danderpaws, isn't it? Pages from yep, I saw the journal. I was like, oh my gosh, Tarragon Danderpaws. Hello, Chat Nubis. Welcome, welcome. Good job on claiming first for the first time in like forever.
I'll take the rides with me. My friend has shown me there was nothing to be afraid of in passing over to the next life. The eternal garden awaits. I'm lucky. I've seen more of this life than any Veruki can imagine. I will not return to my home of brambleberries and tansy dids, but at least I will return to the land.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't ever remember you claiming first.
TD.
No, he just shortens it to TD. Thank you. A brief history of doll dentistry. A detailed list of the dead and living biotics from various planets that have entered the Ultravoid. According to the records, not all planets are destroyed on impact. The story of an entrepreneur who attempted to hide stolen profits in the Ultravoid. When he realized the ship was incapable of leaving the Ultravoid, he sent out a beacon issuing his surrender. I'm being gaslit? No, you're not. Of course not. I would never do that to you.
Oh no.
Oh, look, it's Arik.
He completed the ritual. It really seemed like he wanted to live. Arik, I didn't know you well, but no one should be forced to die before they're ready. Not even in the Eternal Garden. I'm sorry.
He's alive. And sad.
Wait, you're alive?
I couldn't finish the ritual. I couldn't go through with it. I couldn't bring myself to speak to the antecedent, the first elder.
That's the antecedent? You made it this far. Tell this antecedent how you feel.
I will try. Elders who dream in crepuscular infinity, part the eternal veil and enlighten me.
Ah, the Sporling is back. This time with a visitor. Sporling, your heart decays. Your duty untended. Purpose unfulfilled. You dare not die, yet life eludes you still.
Excuse me.
Oh, whoa! You press the fibers of my core. Cravenly, I shirk my duty. I break the eternal cycle, the natural law.
Silence. There is no taboo in a life lived. Only a life left to waste in rot. This is why we offer a cure to lost and tortured souls. Void swept. No future. We grant them growth through death. A new life among the mycelium.
Does your cure work on remnants? Remain silent. I could wait. Thank you so much for lurking, Kasha. It means a lot to me. You've already heard my spiel enough times, but welcome into the stream. Now, does your cure work on or remain silent? I don't like some cure because the antecedent feels nice. I did miss you. I did. You've missed so much of this game. You should play this game. I feel like you'd like it.
Does your cure work on remnants?
Wanderer, lost soul. You seek hope, yet you pursue despair. Would you find a light in such dark and desperate desolation?
I'm not sure I follow.
Obsession is a poison that leaches into the roots, of the world itself. Do not taint the garden any more than you already have.
Yeah, Solar Ash. It's about this girl, Ray, who's a Void Runner, and that essentially means that she travels the stars and is able to use ancient technology that allows her to manipulate essentially space-time to a degree. And what happens is her and her crew are stuck on a planet that is being sucked into a black hole, and because the leaders of the world can't agree on a solution, they all decide to take it into their own hands and plunge into this black hole with the hopes of collapsing it in on itself and reversing its pull, thus setting their planet free. And during the whole time, Ray finds that like all of her friends have died before she even like really got there. And then on top of that, she now has to set things right and try to save her planet. It's a whole story about like trauma and just tragedy and all of that. So I definitely recommend it. It's about growing with trauma, trying to learn from your past, and trying not to let your trauma be the only thing that defines you. It's a really good game. I definitely recommend it. We are at the very end, so yeah, I definitely recommend playing it. Oh, have you watched us play it? Oh, that's good. I mean, we've been playing it in stream for like, this is week 4, well, stream 4 of this game, so you missed last stream, which was yesterday.
And you, spoiling.
Yes?
The other elders found growth through the ritual. They believe you are stunted. But the mycelium network sees all.
A life so small, looked down upon by all who came before. I cannot bear it. I could be so much more.
To be fair, the game is pretty short. Like, my first playthrough, without guides or anything, took me about 12 hours. And we're about to come up on that now. And I've been moving a little slow in this playthrough just so people can, like, see it. But this is my second playthrough of this game. And I'm going to play it again next week for my all-day follow-a-thon marathon. Which next week from Tuesday to Tuesday, so it's going to be from next Tuesday till the following Tuesday, I'm going to be streaming every day for 12 hours straight. And one of those streams, I think it's the stream on Wednesday, I am doing a Solar Ash Extreme playthrough and a Hyper Light Drifter New Game Plus playthrough. And I'm trying to figure out the challenge for what happens if I die. Like, completely die, game over die. I'm trying to solve for that. We will see, because it's gonna be funny. If you have any challenge ideas, tweet it at me on Twitter, but or message me on Discord, or in my Discord server if you have that. So it's gonna be fun. I'm going to be moving the end of next week, fam. Oh, I wish you luck on your move. I hope that everything goes well. That's really fast. We just talked about that.
No matter how many times you trick this pilgrimage, you are not ready. You are not done with life yet.
No, you are mistaken, First Elder. I have never been here before.
The mycelium sees through the illusion you have found yourself trapped in. I fear your reality has become as porous as the mossy soil you tend. Go now. Commit to your path, and fate will find you.
Will Auric be okay? He seems really shaken.
The ritual is not sacred because of the cycle. Life and death alone have no meaning. Growth is sacred. Lives live better than the last. Umbra have always known this. Our world has changed, but he is still drawn to gardening, to poetry, to life. So long as he continues to grow and better our world, he will remain. Be on your way, heretic. You will find your path, or your path will find you.
Yeah, life has been moving really fast. Like, it's just a lot, but I'm really glad you're getting out of that situation. That's really good for you. I'm so happy for you.
Leave us. We must draw energies for the road ahead.
Oh, do I smell bad, Molly? Is that so? Am I stinky? I am very stinky. I don't want it. I didn't have energy to change my clothes today, so I'm feeling. I'm still in my pajamas. I haven't gotten into actual dress clothes because it's rainy and gross and. So I am very stinky right now because I haven't changed into my day clothes. But yeah, it's fine. I'm in pajamas. It's okay.
Auric, it doesn't seem like the Elders want you to join them. And the Ultra Void is no place to live, even for you. I don't know if you noticed, but it's hell out there.
You wouldn't understand. This is my sacred duty. Please, leave me be.
Isn't all this groveling a bit selfish? It's not helping anyone.
You know that's true, Ray.
Meet me at the Starseed at the center of the Ultra Void, and maybe we can get out of here. You can grow gardens on new planets.
A biotic's fate is to live and die, but mine is to ensure the fate of all living things that came before and will come after.
You don't get it. I'm going to destroy this place. There won't be a cycle left to tend to.
Even the most powerful biotic is but a flicker in the cycle. It cannot be destroyed, such as you say.
All right. Also, posture check. Thank you so much for redeeming a posture check, Pasha. Time to stop shrimping, apparently. My shoulder's out of place, and it's a problem. Oh, I see you. Also redeeming hydrate. Thank you for redeeming hydrate. I shall hydrate. Water. You're going to pretzel me? Feel free. I don't mind being pretzeled. It's my shoulders are already out of place. Stretch. Okay, stretch time. All right, time to stretch. All right, let's see if I can get any good pops on this. Nope, nothing got caught on the mic. That's okay. Can I pop my jaw? Let's see. Oh! I don't know if you heard that. The mic picked it up. That was my jaw. Oh, shit. Anyway, moving on. Moving.
Antecedent mean by illusion. Has Ark been on this pilgrimage before? He may be from the Ultra Void, but he's trapped too.
That's the spirit? Yeah, really though. Alright, we're done in the magma area because we defeated the dragon that was up there. So now we gotta go back to the center for the Starseed. Let's go. Oh shit, let's go do that. I wonder if you can rematch with bosses after beating the game. I haven't explored around at endgame as much, but I wonder if you can beat the shit out of the bosses again, because that would be kind of cool. Alright. Now we're back here. Oh no, the lizard bird! Yeah, the lizard bird. Question, how do you feel about having... Oh wait, hold up. How do you feel about having the nickname Hierophant? Like, almost like the tarot card? Isn't that more like a title? Hierophant? I don't mind being called the Hierophant, though. A Hierophant is just a priest. I don't mind that. So long as nobody's associating me with Catholicism, I'm content. Alright, we're back in Ironroot now. I didn't know there was a gemstone down there. Alright, now we're up here. You bested the dick liquefying dragon. Facts! Facts. Facts. I did in fact best the The cock dragon. No, not the. Oh, oh, I'm by the mines. I'm by the mines. Oh, I'm fucked. Oh, I'm fucked. Oh, I'm fucked. Fucked. Oh, I made it. I don't know how I did that, but I did. Catholicism stinky. I agree. Respect to those who do practice, but I fundamentally disagree with the tenets of Catholicism. Fundamentally, it is like straight up, at least how it's practiced in the modern day. I fundamentally disagree with the tenets of Catholicism. I believe there are some really good Catholics out there, but I am definitely not the targeted audience of Catholicism by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a Kemetic pagan and proud of it. Oh shit. Oh no. Oh fuck. Where am I? I'm here. So just gotta come through here, and I'm not gonna fight these guys because they're really not worth my time. Hey yo. Hold on. Wait, there's so much going on in the chat. Let me read up real quick. Oh, I just saw that you said my little Egyptian snacky snack facts. Oh no, the lizard bird. Yep, rip lurd. Hierophant is fine. No, absolutely not. This is a sacred place. Catholicism and my Kemetic Minecraft server. Wrong. Be good to thy neighbor. Fuck that. Yeah, facts. It's just wrong. Sit on thy neighbor. Rub on thy neighbor. What the? Yeah, rub on thy neighbor. If your neighbor consents to it, that is. Always consent first. Consent is key. All right. Time to hopefully restore Sid. Here's hoping. Fingers crossed. Hi, Sid. All right.
Critical systems offline. Terminal calculation loop. Please try again later.
I'm planning on getting a Minecraft server up, a CryptoRamsey Minecraft realm. Correction, a realm. That's the goal right now. Fingers crossed. If I get enough subs, I'll be able to. Consensual is sensational. What? Wait. Sensational in a good way or sensational in a bad way? I hope it's a good way.
Abort calculations.
Aborting. Ray, the starseed is fully functional. Well done.
Oh, Sid's back.
Sid, you're back online.
If you're in the Discord server, it will when it is ready, it will become available. And also, good job on claiming second.
Why, yes, it appears we are. It feels as if we've been lost in thought. What happened?
I don't have time to explain, but I'm so glad you're back. And I need your help.
You're second and third?
Starseed.
You're second and third, Molly. Oh no!
Ray, our readings indicate energy signatures far greater.
I know, Sid. And I know the dangers. We don't have time to predict every possible outcome. I'm ready to activate the Starseed. Whatever the cost.
You are super cool, Molly. Glad that such a cool person's in chat. Although maybe not second and third cool though. You're not cool enough to be first, apparently.
Very well, Ray. Beginning Starseed activation protocol. Strange. It appears a Void Runner has locked us out of the activation control system. We are unable to proceed.
There has to be another way.
There is a failsafe at the summit of the Starseed, which allows for manual override. But Ray, if you reach the top, it is statistically unlikely you will ever come back down.
Sid. Thank you. I don't know what will happen next, but I hope to see you on the other side.
We must fight every circuit in our logic core to say this, but we believe we will see you again. Engaging Starseed maintenance rail. Good luck, Ray.
Well, looks like we're going to our death now. You unlocked another emote. Hey, yo. That's great. That's so mean. Just get here sooner. That's all. Then you'll be cool enough to be first. The controller is vibrating aggressively. Gosh, this game is so pretty. Going up.
This is it.
And that's the planet. All right. You guys ready for the ending? Or one of two? Because here it is.
No, no, no! This can't be.
Four ads? Okay, hold on. I'll wait to proceed.
See it now, don't you?
I'll wait. Tell me when the ads are over. Really? Ads this early in stream? That's funked. That's not right. The earliest that ads are supposed to play right now is in half an hour. That's the earliest that they're supposed to play. That Twitch is wigging. All right. I'll just wait for folks to come back. Hello. Yes, I am waiting. Hello, Manager Leon. Thank you. They're offering me right now? That's good. I will wait patiently for Molly to get back. Hello, are you back? Are you good? Cool. I don't know why ads played this early. Essentially, TLDR went up to the starseed activation, the planet in the sky, got close, got far away, glitched out, and exploded, essentially, is the TLDR. And now echoes appeared.
You finally see the truth.
Truth is what I make it! I can bring them all back!
You sound like me. You always do at the end. Do not draw this out. Show some mercy.
I didn't want to hurt you!
Enough. Don't you get it? We were too late. We've always been too late.
You knew?
Our planet was already lost. But I couldn't face the truth. Thought I could use the Starseed to change what had already come to pass.
Who are you?
I'm a relic of the past. And you're the part of me that won't let me forget. Forever repeating our mistakes. We are two halves split by the Starseed. Eternally tessellating.
But that means...
The Starseed doesn't reverse time. It just repeats it. Over and over, our world is ripped apart. We've never had a choice. The clouds you dance on are the remains of our home.
I can't accept that. I'll start over. to be another way.
There's only one choice left to make. Accept the truth. Destroy the Starseed. Let me go!
All right, choice time. Do I destroy or activate the Starseed? They both have different endings. So, do you guys want to see me destroy the Starseed or activate the Starseed first? Which one are we going for here? It's a pretty tough choice. Are we gonna trust Echo? Oh, okay. All right. Two different options here. All right. Set her free. So I got kill and set her free. All right. Manager Leon, would you like to weigh in? I can tell you which one's the shorter ending. Like, I could tell you which one ends up being the shorter ending, if that helps sway. Because I could just do the shorter ending first. Because activate the Starseed is the shorter ending. We're gonna go with activate. We're gonna go with activate because it's the shorter ending, and I feel like ending the stream with destroy the Starseed after I investigate, you know, whether or not the bosses come back. I figured as much. Yeah, I feel like if I go with destroy the Starseed first, it won't have as much of a big end. So we're gonna go with activate.
You're not in control here.
Keep pushing! You will see. Around we go. I'll see you very soon, little one.
Is it over?
Goodbye, Ray. All that will be left of you. Are remnants.
Damn, that ending cutscene's fucked. And this should look familiar to anybody who was here last week when we started this game. Oh god. Wait a damn minute. And up we go. Oh god. We started over. Don't worry. This is the end. But this new game plus for real, yeah, really. And that's when the boss comes in. The first boss. Which was Ouroboros. So that's the first ending. Right there. So TLDR about that if you missed the symbolism of that ending. Essentially, that's what happens when you don't accept your past, when you continue to reject the trauma that you went through. They're saying that that's kind of what that looks like. That's what you're doing. You're just repeating the cycle over and over and over again instead of breaking the cycle. So yeah, it's fucked up. That's it. She got up after the cutscene at the beginning of the game, almost as if we just started a whole new game. And then right before Ouroboros showed up and knocked her to the ground, the credits rolled. So that's what happened. We're gonna skip the credits because I'm gonna come back over the credits in the game again. So that's the first ending. The second ending is a lot longer. So yeah. Time to do the second ending. This time we're going to destroy the Starseed. Also, that ending cutscene is so graphic. Every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, fuck. It gets my brain stirring in a messy way. It's just so visceral. I love it. It's such a good, like, illustration of the situation, but it really is visceral. Hopefully no ads interrupt this one. Yeah, we can play a few rounds of Fortnite after this, I think. I'll see how I feel, because I'm kind of not feeling too great. So we'll see if I'm either going to do a really short stream or if I'm going to play some Fortnite. We'll find out. It's just the weather's really bad, and I'm achy because of it. Alright, here's hoping no ads get us this time. Because I want you guys to actually see what happens to this planet. Yeah, I am an achy old hag. I hope I will, honestly. I'm gonna take some pain meds after this, I think.
See it now, don't you? You finally see the truth.
Truth is what I make it. I can bring them all back.
You sound like me. You always do at the end. Do not draw this out. Show some mercy. Enough! Don't you get it? We were too late. We've always been too late.
You knew?
Our planet was already lost. But I couldn't face the truth. Thought I could use the Starseed to change what had already come to pass.
Who are you?
I'm a relic of the past. And you're the part of me that won't let me forget. Forever repeating our mistakes. We are two halves split by the Starseed, eternally tessellating.
But that means...
The Starseed doesn't reverse time. It just repeats it. Over and over, our world is ripped apart. We've never had a choice. The clouds you dance on are the remains of our home.
I can't accept that. I'll start over. There has to be another way.
There's only one choice left to make. Accept the truth. Destroy the Starseed. Let me go!
Alright, and this time we're gonna destroy the Starseed, because we activated it last time.
Listen. Why this time? It's killing you. For once, I can't see past this moment. did was prolong their suffering. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so.
God, that's so disturbing every time. Fuck. It gets me every time. It gives me chills. It kind of reminds me of the game The Hanged Man. If you ever seen that, fucked up game. But oh, it freaks me out every time. Can you imagine your body twisting like that? Oh, Molly, no! Of course. Here's Molly to lighten the mood. Perfect response. Perfect response. All right.
Pain is gone. I feel like I can breathe again.
And now we're playing as the Echo. As ice skates. All right. She's so floaty. Oh my god. She is significantly more floaty than Rey. Okay. All right. I mean, I know she is Rey, but she's still... Oh, I see why she's so much more floaty now. Because this thing isn't here. Oh my god, Sid!
Sid?
I love Molly. Molly is to be protected at all cost. I think Molly's good enough to protect themselves. I think Molly is cursed enough to scare any harm doers away.
How are you? Oh, we knew we would see you again. But something is different. Your presence is activating long dormant memory cells.
Sid? You see me? It's been so... How long has it been? I wasn't sure I still existed. I never thought I'd talk to you again.
I turn harm doers into glue. Why glue? Why glue?
We are remembering everything. Our arrival, the deaths of the Void Runners, the end of our planet. So much has been lost. And yet, we are still here. We believe we missed you.
I missed you too, Sid.
Oh, Sid.
Even still, you are not complete. Does that make sense?
Rey, we destroyed the Starseed. It's not over yet, is it?
You'd better go see for yourself.
Damn.
You should go and see for yourself.
All right. Sid literally just went, you should check it on your own time. Because every part of an animal can be turned into glue. That is true. So Elmer can eat it. Yes, Elmer's glue. They do it with horses. I do it with people sometimes. One of my favorite things is that they're in a book, in Stephen King's Dark Tower series. There's a horse in that series named Glue Boy, and I think about it sometimes. All right, there's the final boss.
She broke the cycle, but she still became a monster. Just like every time before.
She ended the Starseed cycle, so you might have the chance to end another. She's still part of you, isn't she?
I spent lifetimes watching her become a twisted and cruel monster. Clutching at her version of the truth.
She didn't know, but she does now.
Doesn't matter anymore. I have to end this.
Does she need to be destroyed? Perhaps there's another way.
One of my favorite details in this game is, well, obviously this boss fight here. There's some cool details in this, but also when Ray gets hit.
Look at her. What do you see?
When Ray gets hit, sometimes she'll just go fuck, and it's so funny. Like when she gets hit or when she comes back from the dead, she's just like fuck. Honestly, me too, girl. You see molten cock now to the final boss, liquid ass. Oh my god, Molly, chill. Oh. Cursed.
She's angrier at herself than anything else. Her hate, her sorrow, my guilt. I see myself.
No, you can't. No, this is an Undertale. I can't spare her. I have to take her down. But I think the message for that is a lot better than if you could spare her, because this is like coming directly up against the part of yourself that is kind of almost cruel. Like how, as a person who's endured some shit, I find that this is kind of like the fight between the part of you that wants to grow and the part of you that's trapped in the past. And one of them has to prevail. If you let the part of you that's trapped in the past prevail, you just repeat the cycle of abuse. But if you prevail as the person who wants to grow, essentially defeating the monster inside of you and accepting that not only is that part of yourself, but that you have to train that part of yourself to be better and to grow until eventually all of you is working in synergy with itself. I feel like that is the better message to convey than just sparing part of yourself, because that's the smarter decision, you know? Like that's just the less painful decision. It's just letting those bad habits and that trauma live on to continue to re-traumatize you over and over and over again.
We're the same, but she's beyond saving.
You were two once.
Damn, Sid!
I don't have a choice. I need to put her out of her misery.
Why put someone out of their misery when you can pull them out?
And that's the real statement there. Why put someone out of their misery when you can pull them out? And no, I don't have a health bar here. Oh. There. This boss fight is actually really difficult. It took me a while to get it the first time. Oh shit.
You better be right about this, Sid.
Nice. Yes, it is blood. She is in fact gliding on blood. Damn! Oh! She got me. She got me good that time. Alright, come on. Oh, she got me then too. Oh, damn. If you listen closely, you can hear what she's saying. She just said, I see them all, as in like her whole planet. I saw them all die. Which is so fucked. Oh shit. Oh, damn. No, she's a pro watch me, but I mean. That time she said die. Fucking die. Or let me die is what she said. There. Okay. Okay. There we go.
I don't know why, but you helped me. I know you're still in there.
Wait, what? Oh, hello, Frozen. Sup? To be fair, she is super tall. She would indeed ball. She would. Hi, we're playing Solar Ash. And we're fighting ourselves right now. Or our traumatized self. I can't recommend this game enough. If you have the opportunity to play it, please do. It is so good and really difficult. It's a great game. I recommend it. And I guess you could smash Ray if you really wanted to. She is really pretty. I tap that. I tap Ray. I just do like a smash or pass of the Solar Ash bosses. Oh, that would be really funny. I'd be the type to open it up to all Heart Machine bosses though. Alright. Come here. Huh. Oh, fuck. Come on. Okay. Oh, God. Oh, I'm so lucky I got both of those because I didn't see one of them.
We're
All right.
still here, and we're not alone. We can't go back and change the past. We have to pick up the pieces and fix what's left. The truth is a heavy burden, but we can carry it together.
I mean, she's technically beating herself. So I guess she is a little bit.
Ray? Ray?
Oh my God, Sid.
Ray? You've managed to end the cycle. Time moves on. The Ultra Void is stable now.
But there's so much work to be done. So much to rebuild.
Our heart aches for the loss of those we all cared for. And the home none of us can return to.
Hey, yo, birds! Hey, yo, birds!
But what's left here is not without potential. This could be a place to start something new.
Oh my gosh, she took off his medals. Holy shit. Character development.
Are you all right, Ray?
I think I will be.
And there's no planet left in the sky. So there we go. That's the true ending of Solar Ash, everybody. Damn. This game gets me every time. This game and Hyper Light Drifter fucking get me every time I play it. Oh, fuck. They're both stories that are just really close and dear to me, I feel like. Like, they just call out two different parts of myself. They call out my mental health and then they call out my physical health. And the story of Solar Ash is just so beautiful. Just the idea of this eternal cycle of just repeating trauma over and over and over and over again until eventually you just have to accept what happened. You can't keep rejecting yourself, what happened around you. You have to eventually just accept it, pick up the pieces, and move on and start rebuilding. And I think that's like the fundamental kind of way to approach trauma. And it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful game. I cannot recommend this game more. Oh no, not the ads. God damn it. Oh my gosh.
Darb? Is that you?
Oh my gosh, it's Darb! OMG, Darb. Okay, Darb, if you don't know, is the dog that we assumed died. So the dog is safe. The dog survives. All right, I'll wait. Okay, who is in here from Abhel? Who is here? Who can hear me talk right now? Can any of you hear me talk? It will Fortnite ad rip. Well, you're a sub. Shut the fuck up. Oh, I don't know why you can hear me. Dum ba dum bum 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 bum. All right, who else is here? Well, at least you guys didn't get the ending ad covered. Like, that's good. Y'all back? Y'all returned? Have y'all come back from the void? Yes, damn, someone should give me a sub for real, for real. So really quick, y'all missed it, but there was a dog. The dog was saved. The dog survived. The dog that was mentioned in the Broken Capital survived. So the dog came back. But yeah, that was Solar Ash. I'm gonna check to see if we can beat the shit out of the bosses again, because I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to see if they respawn now that actually, is there other game modes? I don't think so. I want to see if the bosses respawn after doing that. I'm very curious to see if the bosses respawn, but yeah, that's the game. I love this game. It's a great game. I recommend it fully, and if you missed any part of the game today, or yesterday, or last week, I will be playing it again. I will be playing again next week for the follow-a-thon that I'm doing. So yeah, that's gonna be a great time. I do hope y'all will pop in at some point. It's gonna be great. I mean, I hope so. I'll be live for 12 hours. Y'all better show up.
Build that failsafe to prevent the unimaginable. I'm sorry that it's come to this.
I haven't ever seen that dialogue before. Huh? Okay, I want to see if the bosses came back, though. Like, that's what I want to know. Are the bosses back? Can I square up with bosses now? Kind of want to beat the shit out of the bosses. I mean, at the same time, I don't know if they did, because unlike Hyper Light Drifter, where that game is more of a like actual fighting game, like more of a game that focuses on its boss combat. This game is more story, where each boss has like a story tied to it. It represents something. Each boss has symbolism, but smash those bussies. I missed the dragon boss fight. Oh no. Okay, well, this guy's still dead. This guy's still dead. Can I fight the bosses without restarting the game? That is the question here. I don't know if I can. Because if I start a new file... by the by, I'm curious, what difficulty did I start this file on? I think this one's standard, this one is challenge, and I bet this one's gonna end up being hardcore. Just because of how I'm gonna do this. Solar Ash, but it's boss rush, and they're all active and in the same area. Fuck that shit. Dude, that would be a mess. That would be a mess, especially with the Ray boss. Holy shit, absolutely not. Hold on, let me see what difficulty is this on? Cause I'm doing hardcore next week. I'm kind of scared. Also, is my Solar Ash video from last week still on my channel? I'm very curious. Oh, my 100% orange juice collab with Frozen's still on this channel. From when he gave me the scuff touch like a jerk. Yes, it is. I Feel So Floaty is in fact still on my channel. So if I do end early, y'all can go check that out. Because I'm probably not going to raid due to how early it is. Nobody I know is online. What about all the other ones than the Ray one? What do you mean? Oh, that one would be fine. I think that would be cool. But let me see what difficulty is this one? Very curious. Gameplay. Oh, what? I'm on standard here? Okay. I guess I'm on standard. I must have done novice in the first part. I think, probably. So yeah. I don't think there's a way for me to refight the bosses. However, I can give a bit of an update and then I'll call it quits for today. I'm glad that we finished today. Because I've been meaning to. I was originally just gonna like straight up cancel stream today. I was not feeling it, but I was like, you know what? I want to finish Solar Ash. I want to show off this so that way I can do hardcore mode next week with a challenge on it. I have no idea how the fuck I'm gonna manage through that because I already struggle with this game as is. But I can at least kind of giggle about the fact that it's gonna be a challenge. Oh, I can show you guys the skin now. Now it's not spoilers.
To help? Certainly.
New suit! Absolution. We do have some plot. I could, you are right. They are live. I could see if they're live. Like I think they are live. I could read them. But first.
I don't think anyone made it. I found Gozam. I can't believe he's gone. It doesn't seem real. I always knew that no matter what happened, Zam would be there to fix it. He was the best of us.
He was a natural leader. If he didn't make it, then he must have died trying to protect the other Void Runners.
I just don't get it. Everyone did their job. All the conduits were set up. How could they have died before I found them?
We wish we could tell you, Ray. But despite all your efforts, We have not restored a coherent timeline of what happened after landing.
That means it's really up to me to finish this thing. There's no one to save us if I fail. I feel so alone.
We believe you are more capable than you know, Ray.
Thanks, Sid. I'm the only... This place is nothing but death. I found Tufty. I've never seen her look so defeated, like she had given up all hope. I think part of her might still be there, watching.
If she is suffering, then we believe our functionality will be highly impaired.
I'm not feeling so good either, Sid. Everyone did their job. All the conduits were set up. How could they have died before I found them? It's like the Ultravoid itself is tormenting them. We have to free them. We have to end this.
We wish we could tell you, Ray. But despite all your efforts, we have not restored a coherent timeline of what happened after landing.
That means it's really up to me to finish this thing.
Please
There's no one to save us if I
complete
fail.
the mission. Destroy the
feel so
Ultravoid.
alone.
For all of these restless, lost souls. We believe you are more capable than you know, Ray.
Thanks, Sid. Who locked you out and overloaded the Starseed?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Could Tufty be behind the sabotage?
If anyone could have hacked into our systems and overpowered the Starseed, it's our creator. She knew our framework like the back of her radiometer. That is to say, she knew us well.
I'm sorry, Sid. If she did it, she must have had a good reason.
Yes, we agree. She would not have come all this way just to sabotage the mission. She was always thinking one step ahead. Whatever she did, we believe it must have been for a good reason.
You miss her.
We do.
So do I. Whatever the plan was, it obviously didn't work. The more we learn, the less sense any of it makes. See you around, Sid.
All right, and with all that, all the dialogue has been scoured through for the most part. The dialogue of the other characters. When you ask Sid about the Starseed, like who sabotaged it, you don't really get much of anything, so it's kind of like not worth delving into. I feel because you don't really get much. It's essentially just the equivalent of, oh yeah, no, they didn't have anything to do with this. I don't think they had anything to do with this. They had no reason, so it's kind of like a little messy. But on that note, I think I'm gonna call it for today. I wasn't gonna stream today originally, as I mentioned before, but now I'm kind of like, oh, you know, I wanted to finish Solar Ash so that way next week when I played the challenge mode, I wouldn't be so tired. Or at least I wouldn't have to spend some of it doing this. And then I can instead focus on doing the challenge. So if you have any challenge ideas for what to do when I die, do send it to my Twitter, because I'm very curious to know what kind of punishment you guys have in mind for me dying over and over again in both Solar Ash and Hyperlight. Solar Ash is an easier game, so I expect to get through it relatively easily. As for Hyperlight, New Game Plus is scary. I have 2 health, and I can't change my cloak, and I just get... well, there's no one to spank me, so I can't do that. But I just get absolutely railed by New Game Plus and Hyperlight. So we will see how that goes. But I would send you guys over to raid somebody, but I know I could raid Draco Queen, but at the same time, I don't really have the energy to raid somebody. This will be the first time I'm not raiding somebody in like a month. I just don't have the energy to engage in a conversation. But I also know that you guys, some of you have missed some parts of Solar Ash. So punishment should be drink water. No. Roll a d20. You could just yeet us at him. That's true. I just feel bad not sticking around because I just don't feel good. I could. But also, if you guys want, if you missed the previous Solar Ash streams, all of them are still up on my channel as videos, like full videos. And if you don't get the time to watch them for whatever reason before they expire, they will be up on my YouTube as soon as they expire on my Twitch. So literally as soon as they come down off of Twitch, they are up on YouTube. Like they upload the like minute after it goes down on Twitch. So yeah, it's great. But let me see who is here. Booby Queen's live. Vincent's nice. There's, let's see. There were Tuco Cazador. That's true. Alright, who has less people? Jay is live. He pops into my streams all the time. Tuco, yeah, I see. Alright. I'll send you guys over to him. Let me see here. Alright. Also, if anybody, because I'm getting more recommendations for raids in chats lately, if anybody wants to decide the raid for the stream at any given point, feel free to redeem the channel points. Totally works. I do it. It's only one person can redeem the channel points, whoever gets it first, and then the raid's decided. So feel free to do that next time if you ever want to pick the person we raid. It's always welcome. It helps me a lot. Helps me not have to think, and I could just yeet you guys over, because after stream I usually do a bunch of like self-care stuff to aid with my chronic pain, and that's kind of the whole goal there. So I think I spelled the name right. Tuco Cazador, yep. And then don't forget, tomorrow I'm gonna be live with Hyperlight Drifter. We're gonna continue our ulti run. I'm kind of hating playing her right now, but I'll get used to her and it'll be a fun time. Saturday, we're coming back with Hollow Knight, which is going to be good. We are about to square up with the Mantis Lords. And then on Sunday, I have a Goose Goose Duck collab with a bunch of other creators. I'm taking my first day off in like forever on Monday to celebrate a friend's birthday. And then after that, starting the day after Monday, Tuesday, we are going to be doing the follow-a-thon. 7 days, 12 hours straight, every day, for 7 days. Please come. It's going to be a great time. Send your friends over. We're trying to get to 300 followers. That's our goal. But if we get higher, there are more rewards to be had, including if we get to 1K, which I don't think we will, because that's like times 10. But if we get to 1K, I'm doing a face reveal. So let's see if we can get it. If we can't, that's fine. I'll just make it a reward down the line, probably for a subathon later. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you guys so much for coming to the stream. It truly does mean the world and Underworld to me. Take care of yourselves and each other. Please drink lots of water. It's getting really, really, really fucking hot, and if you're in a very cold climate, please be warm, because I imagine that in the southern hemisphere it's fucking freezing right now. So please stay warm, stay cool, do what you gotta do in these extreme climates. It's getting weird out there, and take care of each other. All right, see you all tomorrow. Enjoy the ghost stream. If it loads, there it goes. And with all that being said, see you all next time. Sanepti.